Hello, everybody. This is Caleb,
And this is Dan.
and this is the King's Advisors. And tonight we're going to talk about pretty much everything that we haven't had a chance to talk about in probably the last 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of stuff has happened. There's been a lot of big news. We talked about some of it on our DC and Marvel videos. But there's also been a lot of little things that they're not very big because they're stupid, but they're also kind of important because people need to know they're stupid. The best example of that being yesterday's great interview between Viola Davis and Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh my God. I guess it might as well just be the talking point.
Oscar winner Jennifer Lawrence, the greatest female actress of all time.
The only female action star.
The only female actress claimed to be the first female action star, which I guess kind of makes sense if you remove Terminator, Aliens 1, 2, and 3, and 4, even the other two with what's her name with red hair. If you remove AVP, even though it's not that great a movie. If you remove Terminator 1 and 2, if you remove Star Wars 1, 2, and 3.
The list goes on. I think it's one of those things where it's like, do you not think the world existed before 2012? Like,
exactly.
What is this mentality of like, you are the first person to do something? It's like, well, you're not. You're showing. Not only are you showing how ignorant you are about the industry you're in, but it's also just so frustrating because you're disrespecting all these characters. It's like, you're setting women back. Like, and you know
exactly.
What's going to happen to you? The next girl is going to come along and say, "Oh, I'm the first female action star." And Jennifer Lawrence is going to be like, "No, she's not," and then she's going to have to get in the back of the line.
Exactly.
Like you could problem with her.
You could see somehow kind of like understanding where she's coming from. Like maybe the interview is actually not the whole thing she said. And she said, I feel like Hunger Games was the first movie to be centered on a brunette female of 16. Kind of like an ESPN stat where it's like, LeBron James is the first person to bounce the ball 3 times with his left hand on his right foot on a Tuesday when it was raining outside.
Yeah.
Like that's how far you have to stretch this to even be able to contemplate the idea that she's the first female action star. Was it action star or was it just movie star?
I think it was it was action. That's why everyone's been throwing out Ripley and it just goes on. Like, I'm not even trying to out myself as somebody who doesn't know a lot. You just think about it. You're like, well, that's one. And then you see the shills that are like, it actually makes sense if you close your eyes and stand on your head. And if you open an umbrella up inside, you'll find out that it can, you can put soup in it. You're like, what?
Hey, you're hearing me all right?
Yeah, dude, you sound great.
Okay. All right. I've got a connections unstable thing on my Streamlab page, so I just want to make sure it's not actually affecting the thing.
No, not at all. Actually, I was going to say your mic input sounds good.
Excellent. Yeah, so this is a little bit of braggy for me right now. This is my first stream off of my new computer.
Well, congratulations. How does it feel?
It's great. It took a lot longer to build it than I think it would if next time I have to do it. Because I didn't really understand how the motherboard worked and things like that. But
dude, you're fancy now.
I'm very happy with this. It's a very powerful. It's not as powerful as some people's computers will be, but it is light years better than my old one.
It's something I've always wanted to do. To get it all and build it and stuff. My buddy does it, and he's always offered to do it, but
oh, dude, I'd love to do it again. So if you get to the point that you decide to buy the parts, you don't want to build it, I'll build it for you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. See, I'd just sit there with a 6-pack and let you build it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I was watching Drinker earlier,
You
and in
don't
honor of
say.
Drinker,
Oh, nice.
yeah, honestly, I wasn't sure if you'd hear it, but I'm glad you heard it.
Dude, crystal clear. Honestly, that's hilarious. Actually, I wish we could cut that sound.
I need to do that. I think I'll do that Sunday. I think I'll make some sound clips and play around with Streamlabs a little bit and just kind of see how to do everything else.
I got news for you.
Yeah, I might leave that to Gary.
Yeah.
So that was funny. I was finishing up some work, watching Drinker, and then I left to go get something. And I come back in and I open some stuff up over, and I'm sitting there going, I recognize this voice. Why do I recognize this voice? And then I closed the window that was covering the YouTube video or the YouTube stream, and it's Gary. And I was like, when did you get on here?
Oh, he shows up in the open bar.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he
stumbles in.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I was listening to it on my drive home.
Mm-hmm.
God, that courthouse is far. Yeah, it's just so
Yeah,
frustrating. I'm not gonna say which one or
courthouse.
anything, but it's
Yeah,
just,
don't say which one.
Goodness.
It's also in the middle of nowhere.
Oh my God. It's like move it 40 miles closer. Like,
Yeah.
geez. Oh well. But yeah, I was listening to it in the car, and yeah, I guess that kind of can lead into my next point I wanted to talk about tonight was what you sent me earlier were the James Gunn tweets.
Yes.
That's like on the tip of my tongue right now.
Let me pull those up.
Yeah, so just to speak lightly to it while you do that, essentially the rumors have been going around that all these projects are on hold at DC, and Wonder Woman's basically cut, and it might as well not even be off the ground. And what I took that was because that was the news from the past couple of days, and then when you sent me that tweet today, or that thread, I guess, and you're going to pull it up in a second here, and we'll read it, but I just took it as him doing the thing that a studio head should do, and that's getting out in front of stuff in like the most transparent way possible and be like, we'll see it in a second, and we'll let the viewers decide as we go through it. But I just thought the whole action was really commendable. I was like, if this is how we're starting things off, this is good. Like jumping out in front of news stories, not letting them get traction and being pressured by them. Like, oh, no.
100%.
We're never going to cut Gal Gadot and whatever Patty Jenkins is. Like, well, that's never, we're going to sign them up for 5 more movies, actually. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what Marvel
we're going to let Patty write all the movies too.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what Marvel would have done. They would have seen that story and been like, what? We can't look like we're shutting down women.
Let me just make sure that's the only thing on the screen.
Oh yeah, that's a whole thing you got to worry about now. Yeah, but once you get it up, why don't you read it and we'll kind of EFAP it along as we come to stuff.
All right. So this is in regards to a zoom in.
Yeah.
This is in regards to a report that came out, I think about midday yesterday on the 7th, saying basically that everyone, like every single thing that we had heard about DC in the last 3 weeks or 2.5 months was all a lie. They're all fired. There's no joy coming back. Henry's gone. Gal Gadot's gone. All this stuff. And so Gunn tweeted early this afternoon. So as far as the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it's true. Some of it's half true. Some of it's not true. And some of it we haven't decided yet. It's whether it's true or not. And I think that's probably as vague as he probably wants to go. I can't imagine that some of what's true is all that much. Like, I highly doubt anything to do with Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman is true.
Yeah, I feel like that was very strategic
Mm-hmm.
to say that some of it's true because now we're all kind of wondering, like, well, what is true and what's not. Like, he's being more cryptic than George R. R. Martin right now, I think.
Yes.
And
Great.
it's just really funny to me because, well, keep going and we can do our final thoughts,
Yeah.
maybe tweet by tweet.
Although this first month at DC has been fruitful, building the next 10 years of story takes time, and we're still just at the beginning. So if you remember, so he and Safran get hired, I think it was about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do anything for, I think, about 2 weeks. And then about a week ago, they apparently had like a couple days where they were sitting in a boardroom with, you have to give me his name again, the CEO,
Zaslav, David Zaslav.
Zaslav, and other board members and like laying out the story. Now, it wasn't, as far as we've heard, it wasn't okay, first movie is Superman, then we're going to do Batman, then it's going to be Wonder Woman. It was more of, okay, here are some ideas, where do we want to end up, and how do we want to start, how do we want to get there. Do we want to introduce all 7 of the Justice League? Do we want the original Justice League? Do we want the new Justice League? Do we want to keep any Snyder stuff? It was discussions like that. It wasn't hang on, guys.
Specifics.
I need to find out why Lord of the Rings is
online is trending. I know, I was wondering that myself, but
let me just stop streaming, or not streaming,
sharing.
Yeah,
no, to speak to that while you do that, I don't mind jumping in here for a minute. I think it's actually a lot of internal politics we're seeing here going on inside the company, and I think it's fascinating because obviously there's got to be a mole, right? Thanks for the comment, Jay. We can go over that in just a few minutes. Actually, that's probably going to be smart after we cover the James Gunn stuff that happened today. It's kind of on our minds. But yeah, so just to speak to that a little bit, I think it's really interesting because we're kind of seeing like a power shift because obviously somebody's feeling threatened by this new leadership and is trying to expose them. No, we're on DC. No, you're absolutely on topic. We're just talking about the biggest DC news, but we can absolutely discuss Black Adam in a few minutes here. Actually, funny story about that. My brother is an extra in that movie. He's one of the mercenaries, and he can't stand the movie. Actually, funny enough, he apparently he and my parents went to go see it, and they went to watch it again. And my dad was giving him a hard time and was like, "Hey, I blinked. I didn't see what scene you were in."
That's great.
It's a very small little role. But yeah, so I think that what's happening now is somebody's, I think, was trying to get to James Gunn and was like, "Hey, we're gonna start leaking some of these details, and you're not going to know who it is." And I think that's why he's being dramatic back. He's like, "Hey, some of it's true and some of it's not." So now the mole has to be worried about getting bad information.
Yeah, no,
I think it's definitely, it's all interesting. So
yeah,
it's like we're going to see some Tyrion and King's Landing stuff. Where
there's definitely some. There's definitely some backroom politics going on in there.
I think that leads me into my next point is that this is what these companies need to be doing. They need to be struggling with these people these non-creatives who are just comfortable in their roles, and they're getting shaken up now because you have a real creative coming in saying,
"Yeah,
hey, if I get 100%, yes."
Sounds like someone was listening to Drinker.
Actually, I had to cut it off with my fiance.
Oh yeah, no, probably 20 minutes before I went to go grab some stuff at the store, he was talking about the same stuff. That you've got these people that just kind of keep failing upwards. And Disparu, because Disparu was on there as well. He was talking about how you've got this massive ship that so many people are aiming in one direction. And you're not going to be able to change the direction until enough people up, far enough up, know that you're heading towards an iceberg. That eventually you'll be able to change direction, but you have to fire all the people below you to get so that they won't, keep trying to push the boat towards the iceberg.
Well, this is how you smoke them out, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you feed these different stories to different people, and you see,
it's
you know,
exactly what
let's
Tyrion
say
did with
that's exactly what Tyrion
yeah,
did. You know, you tell the Hollywood Reporter that, or you tell one person, you tell person A that Gal Gadot is getting fired, and then they run to the Hollywood Reporter, and then you tell
yep,
person B that Ben Affleck's getting fired, and they run to Variety, and then you tell person C that it's Henry Cavill's getting fired, and then you figure out which one the mole is.
yep,
That's, you know what I mean? And then God forbid they all three leak, and then you're like, oh shit, maybe I need to
yeah.
fire them all. You know,
Oh yeah.
it's possible to have more than one mole,
Hmm.
but
So then he goes on to say, Peter and I chose to helm DC Studios, knowing we were coming into a fractious environment, both in the stories being told and the audience itself. And there would be an unavoidable transition period as we moved into telling a cohesive story about film across film, TV, animation, and gaming. And before Dan says anything, this I think is the coolest tweet I've read from someone involved in fandom in years. Because not only is he saying we are going to have one story told across the movies and TV, which Marvel's already done. Woohoo, big whoop. It's also going to go across their animation, which is heads and shoulders better than anything that
mhm,
Marvel does.
right,
But also gaming.
revolutionary. I
I
mean,
mean,
that was the first thing I said to you when you sent me
yeah,
this, and I think I
imagine
picked your
that.
brain.
Imagine if Marvel's Avengers, the video game that came out, I think about this time last year, was good. Imagine if that's how the majority of people had been introduced to Miss Marvel, and it was an actually good story instead of the terrible thing that we got. That would have been awesome. But they dropped the ball. They fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line, and the other team picked it up and scored.
Well, it seems like they're moving towards scoring. I would say that the DCEU is probably they got a touchback with James Gunn. They're on the
Oh,
20.
so
With
we
good
actually
field
have a name
position, they
now.
can do anything.
We actually do have a name now. DCU. Oh yeah, sorry, it's in the last tweet.
DCU, okay.
Yeah, it's in the last tweet.
The DC universe. That sounds
It,
better actually than
it
EU.
does. It does. But in the end, the drawbacks of that transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and the opportunity to build upon what has worked in DC so far and to help rectify what is not. And what's so great about James Gunn is he knows because he's already been part of the EU. He
Yeah,
was
he's
part of,
successful.
yeah. We know that we are not going to be able to make every single person happy every step of the way, but we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story and the service of the DC characters we know you cherish and we have cherished our whole lives. My God, does that sound refreshing?
What is in all caps there?
The story and the characters.
I mean, it's just is that anything else you really need to know? I mean, I know it's
No,
just a tweet, but it's like
yeah, but
I
it's
got
like
so
we said in
excited.
the DC video we did. We everything we are hearing is good. There is no um this but or modern audience or anything like that. It's the story and the characters. And that's so good.
I completely agree. I think it's one of the best things. Like when you sent this to me, I was like, it's not often that Caleb sends me just a tweet without any context or, usually you'll be like, hey, did you see that thing or something? You know what I mean? But this is like, you were like, no, you need to read this right now. And I was like, I clicked on it instantly. I was like, oh, okay. What is this giant news? And then that poster is so
And
cool.
then just look, tell me that doesn't and they've got Elastic Man in the background.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I didn't
I mean,
notice
I'm just
that.
excited for like a good Green Lantern. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for a good I mean, I guess see the thing is that, and this is brings me up to another point, and this we can move into Jay's question too, because this kind of will tie together. Is how does this fit in with Shazam and Black
Yeah.
Adam and the Joker? Like, where are we going to go into pockets of different universes, or like, is this going to be something where? And I'm just speculating here, but is this going to be something that's like just scrapped, and then they're going to start day one. They're going to start Iron Man 2006 with Superman. You know what I mean? Like they're just going to
So
restart it and go for it.
I think what they're probably going to do is they'll probably take parts of the stories we already have. So what they'll probably do is they'll say, okay, the first movie, the DCU, is going to be Superman 2025. And in that movie, we're going to know that he fought Zod to save the Earth a decade ago, and helped defeat the Doomsday, and maybe add something with the Zack Snyder cut. Maybe say, and they all the heroes of the Earth teamed up to defeat
Deathstroke or that guy.
Darkseid. Yeah, and that I think that's probably how we'll combine the universes. For example, I think they'll probably accept a couple parts of the storyline, but then maybe a different actress is cast for Lois Lane, so they
Fingers crossed.
I actually like Amy Adams.
Ugh.
So maybe they'll retcon her by having Amy Adams show up in the elevator and Clark Kent going, sorry, not Amy Adams, Lois Lane. Miss Lane, so great to have you back from your assignment you've been on the last couple of years. Something like that.
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe we're getting into the weeds a little bit about the nuances of what they're going to do. But
yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
In big strokes, what are they going to tell The Rock? Hey, man, we're not going to bring Black Adam in for 15 years.
Yeah, no, I don't think Black Adam. I
mean, I just
listen, this thing. This is if I could be wrong about this. It's been known to happen, but I'm pretty sure this is The Rock's first failure in a movie. What I mean is, it's the first movie he's in that as a title character that has not succeeded, unless the Jungle Cruise didn't succeed, which I have no idea about that. But Rampage succeeded. Jumanji 1 and 2 succeeded. San Andreas did a good job. I don't know if it succeeded. But I can't. I'm not a huge Rock guy, so I don't know everything he's in.
Yeah, I'll just jog your memory real quick.
You're gonna list 18 movies that were horrible.
No. Just one. Go ahead and let me share the screen real quick, or I can post it in the private chat. Let's see here. Screen. Sorry, everybody.
It's gonna be great, isn't it? It's gonna be like, how did you forget about this?
This classic. How could you forget this classic?
Hold up, bud. There are a lot of people that love that movie.
Yeah, but this was not a success.
Okay, I see what you mean.
There are people who jokingly like this movie. There are people who will sit back and be like, "Oh, I like this movie because it's giant guys swinging swords." I mean, there's nothing wrong with Michael Clark Duncan, and it's got an iconic end, but it's just so bad.
I'll be honest. I forgot about it. That movie was on.
I could never not see the. I could never not.
What year did that come out?
Scorpion King, 2002.
Okay, so there was a.
Remember this? It was actually in the Rock's acting debut was in The Mummy 2, The Mummy Returns.
Yes, Jay, it is. It's so bad, it's good. So there was a 2002. It might be VHS. It could. Okay. Yeah, okay, it might have been a VHS then. There was a VHS I had back then. A tape that was one of the commercials. Was the Scorpion King trailer,
Was
and
it really?
yeah, I watched the movie so many times. I have no idea
Did
what
you
movie it was
see
though.
The Mummy 2? Did you like those movies, the Mummy movies with
I've
Brendan
with
Fraser?
Brendan Fraser. I've actually never seen them.
Oh, dude, you should definitely treat
Yeah,
yourself to the
I
first
know.
two. They're really good.
There's a lot of movies I haven't seen that I think a pretty cool thing to do for us would be um not a stream, but like a series of videos where we go and watch like a movie of the week that neither of us has seen.
Oh yeah, I thought that'd be good too, and I think it'd be fun. It'd be fun to do another one in the
All
sense
good,
of
Jay.
you. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Um, I was going to say that it'd be fun for us to pick each other movies sometimes too,
Yes.
just in like a begrudging way. Not that we'd pick anything bad for each other, but it'd be funny for you to like make me watch something and I'll make you watch something. Like you should definitely like I'll watch The Mummy with you, like just so we can talk about it because it is a classic. But you should just watch that. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Like Brendan Fraser should have been. Anyway, he's got an interesting story. That's a whole arc. I would imagine the Brendan Fraser arc, which would be kind of funny to watch, like a bunch of different Brendan Fraser. Movies.
I've seen a bunch of Brendan. Real quick, this is probably a little personal to him, but he posted it on Twitter, so maybe it's not that personal. But just congrats to Gary for 29 years out of prison.
Oh dang! I mean, if it's personal, he wouldn't put it on Twitter like that.
True.
I mean, everybody knows Gary like that.
I'll tell you what, I'm not sure I've ever seen a picture of Folsom Prison.
Of what?
Folsom State Prison.
Oh, is that where he was?
Yeah.
Dude is a legend. I mean, like, how inspirational is he that he can just go out there with a straight face and say, I'm sober because I had these problems and I went to prison for these problems and here I am. I still know better than these jackasses. Like, I love it when he's just like, I've been kicked out of 3 high schools. Like, that's one of my favorite Gary quotes ever. Because he's still really smart about the stuff he likes.
Apparently, Patty Jenkins was offered the chance to rewrite the script for Wonder Woman 3, but she declined.
Oh, that's some juicy gossip. Is that live? Did you just find that out just now?
Let's see. Mahler tweeted it.
DC stream.
Mahler tweeted it 12 minutes ago.
Dang, that's hot off the presses.
Off from Discussing Film.
Wow. I mean, good. That's a really, really, really political way of saying we don't like what you've done, so you need to do it again.
Yeah. We're going to give you a chance. Which, I think it's ridiculous. How many college professors told you to rewrite a paper?
That's their job.
I mean, what would you have done? What would have happened to you if you said, no, not rewriting this?
I mean, I guess it's different when we would have failed, which was not an option. That's why we had to turn him in. But I guess Patty Jenkins feels like she'll never have to. She'll find another job. It's her thing. She's like, no, I'm good. I'm Patty Jenkins. I directed Wonder Woman 1 and who else knows what she's done. But that's my thought. Is like, why is she? I guess she's just that confident in herself, and that's good. I hope she finds other work.
Yeah.
That we can talk about in a constructive way.
Yes, because all we want to be is constructive.
Constructive is a good way to put it.
So speaking of constructive criticism, have you watched anything good lately?
Anything good? I mean, I told you to watch that Netflix show, that Ancient Apocalypse show.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
You didn't, I bet.
No, I do. I have been insanely busy.
It's gonna bug you because you're gonna be like, I don't buy it, and I want to argue with you about it. That's why I want you to watch it.
Yeah, so I do have Yeah, constructive. I do have one question for you, Dan, while we're here.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, that is such an easy answer. My favorite
There are
Christmas
incorrect
movie,
answers.
my starts my season is this movie called White Christmas. It's the reason most
It's
people know it
racist.
is because it's a line. I'm not going to acknowledge that. There's a line in Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase where he
Uh-huh.
goes, "We're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny F
Yep.
and K." Great
Yep.
line, right? This
Hmm.
is the movie he's talking about. Is
Yes.
my
Yes.
favorite one.
Yeah.
Is White Christmas. It's got Bing Crosby, Danny
Hmm.
Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and I always forget the third woman's name, Vera
Well, you did
Davis. I
better
think.
than me. I only ever remember Bing Crosby.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that's
actually,
fine. He's
speaking
the
of that,
biggest
it's right
star.
here.
Yeah.
Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and
Vera Davis.
Vera Ellen,
Vera.
Dean Jagger, Mary Wickens, Color Beer. Rosemary Clooney, that's George Clooney's grandmother, isn't it?
I think that's what I always tell myself at Christmas. I think I'm always like, is
So
that?
if I recall correctly, so Rosemary Clooney was a phenomenal singer. Her son, I believe, was a phenomenal singer. And George is I think his son might be Rosemary's daughter is George's mother. But he can't sing worth his life. And it's what I was watching a interview on the Big Red Couch with him, and he was just talking about how he went out for this thing that they were kind of like, oh, you're Rosemary Clooney's grandson, you'll be able to sing no matter what, and it was terrible. They had to
That's
get
really
someone
funny.
to like sing for him. But yeah,
Wow, that's
good,
really
good
funny,
movie.
actually.
Yeah. Mine would be Christmas Vacation.
Ah, that's so you do
Fact,
know the line very
yeah,
well. Then.
yeah. In
That's
fact,
fun. That's very funny.
I was watching it for the third time today.
Oh goodness, that's so funny. Yeah, I
Meaning
try to save that for when
the
it's
third time
closer.
in like a month, not 3 times today. That would be weird.
Oh no, I get that. I mean, you could. I mean, if it was like Christmas Eve or like the 23rd, and you're like with your family, that would all make sense. Like if you watch it
Oh
3
yeah.
times in a
Oh
day.
dude, I watch A Christmas Story. I watched that probably like 2 or 3 times on Christmas Day.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah, because they stream it they play it for 24 hours on TBS. So what I used to do is we had like 3 or 4 years that we went to my dad's parents' house for Christmas Eve, and I would stay home with my mom, who was because she was dealing with cancer and stuff, and so I would stay home, get her water, stuff like that, and I'd watch War of the Worlds on TNT on Christmas Eve, and then I'd wake up, and we'd do presents and everything, and then I'd watch Christmas Story.
That's awesome, man.
You want to talk about a terrible movie? I remember the first time thinking, "Oh, this is an interesting movie." About the third time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, this is a really bad movie."
I heard the new one's pretty good. The
I
new
haven't
Christmas
seen
Story.
it yet.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
hesitant.
that I haven't seen. I definitely haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I heard it was good. I heard it was like
The
an
third one?
homage. I think it's the second.
Well,
I
it's
think it's
technically
just.
the third one.
Oh well, I don't think
They
people are
did
counting
A
the second
Christmas Story
anymore.
too.
Ugh, maybe I'm
Yeah,
out now.
I've never seen it.
But I did see something good the other day, which is funny because I hadn't seen it. I guess I hadn't really ever watched it. Like I was aware of
Yeah.
it. I knew what happened, but I'd obviously didn't like sit down and pay attention to it. And I didn't even realize it was a Christmas movie. My fiance made the argument, but we watched 101 Dalmatians, like the 60s version.
Yeah.
Dude, that movie is so good. Like it's almost
Yes.
not even a kid's movie.
Yes.
Because it's like all the dogs are like in a military system, and they're all like communicating, and you're just like, this is how the world used to work before cell phones. Like you didn't just like you had to like bring messages to people and stuff, and
You had to write a letter.
Write a letter. Well, in this movie, they all bark at each other, but
Right,
still,
yeah.
the points across that like word had to travel. I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, super good. And I didn't realize that at the very end, it's Christmas Day. And that's when all the dogs get back. So you're like, oh, I guess this kind of is in the same way that like Die Hard's a Christmas movie, which it is. Heavy hauler, I agree. Kind of it has that same effect of you're like, oh, this counts. I'll watch it at Christmas time. You know what I mean? Like it's all snowy and stuff. So
Chronicles of Narnia.
does that happen at Christmas?
Santa Claus is in it. Santa Claus
really?
Santa Claus brings the children their presents. Peter's sword, Susan's bow and arrow.
I guess that's true, huh?
Yeah.
I guess you got me there, don't you?
Yeah.
I thought that you reminded me when you said Santa brings the. It reminded me of that South Park where it's like Imagination Land, and like South Park's or Santa's down there on the battlefield fighting like the armies.
Of
hell, and he's like got a big battle axe. He's like, oh, ho, ho, here I come. And he's just like smashing these demons, like. So when you were like Santa brings the I was gonna say pain.
Yep.
Yeah, but how about you? Just see anything good lately? It's Christmas time, so it's like you're kind of watching Christmas movies and stuff.
I haven't. So one thing I do want to talk about, and I will probably do a straight up review on this later, but I started. There's a lot of network television that I actually enjoy. I enjoy most of anything that's on CBS. And so over the past like 2 months, have been rewatching Criminal Minds so I can watch the new season that started on Thanksgiving. And the other day, I finished the original 15 seasons and started the 16th. And what a downgrade in storytelling, in filming. My first question, and Dan, you might not be able to answer this. This might be something I have to like wait for Chris Gore's thing on Thursday or Wednesday to ask. But why does network television look so different from streaming and movies? Like, obviously, things cost more for a movie, and a network TV show is cheaper. But why does it look different? Like, are they using different kinds of cameras?
I can't speak to it exactly. I can speculate if you wouldn't mind, but I think it's the cameras. I mean, maybe that's a stupid layman's term, and probably is the same cameras at certain points. But I imagine the turnaround is a lot different too. Like like when you're filming episodic TV, you're really trying to fill in those gaps, and what that means is like you're also like the turnaround for like the editing is really high too. So it's like you might not get that quality you want of like a controlled release of a movie where it can go through all these different programs and enhance it in this different way. Even assuming they're on the same cameras, which I know that there's different cameras because it's like a director like James Cameron is well known for like how much he puts into those cameras. Like it's a lot to it, even if a lot of it's CGI. Like I know he's pretty revolutionary in his aspects of not having that many days of filming. Because especially with this new Avatar, like wasn't that many days apparently, but it's taken 13 years of editing. Like so. Yeah. But yeah, I'm to be honest with you, man, I'm just not sure. I mean, that would be a good question to ask.
So yeah. So what I'm going to do here is, if I understand copyright law correctly, I'm going to show a photo with screen capture. Okay. And I believe I can probably go up to 10 seconds, but I'm not going to actually play anything. This is a screen capture of episode 1, season 13 of Chrome. I might have to press play for like a second.
That's all right. Just do, yeah.
Oh, it's not. Oh, you know what? It might not play because of copyright. Okay, I'll just explain what I'm seeing. I see my whole monitor, the whole screen is taken up.
Yeah.
So we come over here, we go back, and we go to the first episode.
Huh.
So this is a little different than the.
Does it know you're screen sharing? Is that what you're telling me?
It might know that, which is kind of creepy.
That's weird that it knows you're screen sharing.
But So
Oh, it's playing down there on the one that's not shared.
yeah.
Oh, that's odd. Huh, I guess they know. Little for
Okay.
everybody else out there.
Um. Okay. Yeah. It's not streaming on my end. All right. This will help though. So on this episode, the entire episode is from here on my screen down to here. So it's not the full screen anymore. It's like 70% of my screen. And I'm sitting there the whole time watching this going, what the heck is going on? Why have we suddenly changed how we're filming TV in 2 years? Because it's only been 2 years, a year and a half since they stopped filming that show. Why? What is my number one pet peeve about TV and movies right now?
You're gonna put me on the spot. You have a lot of pet peeves, Caleb. That's why we started a podcast. I would say to start off with is just like, let me think here. I would say the thing that started us, the thing that started us off on everything was you called me about the long night, I think, with Game of Thrones, because you and I were still in school together when that was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you were complaining about how dark it was. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is like the most annoying thing I have. I mentioned it in our live stream about House of the Dragon, about them saying, maybe you should just bought a $2,000 TV. I think I mentioned the exact same thing in our Marvel stream, in our DC stream. I'm tired of it. I had to come into my office to watch these new episodes on my monitors, which are higher end monitors, because my $1,000 4K TV was too dark.
Wow, sounds like you need a new TV, bro.
Well, I shouldn't though. That's what's so aggravating.
Yeah, I know that.
It blows my mind that we are sitting here with the ability of things like Avatar 2 coming out, and we're still filming in midnight. It's like,
well, it's just because it's cheaper and easier. Like, they think we're stupid. I really think they do. Like, they really like, oh, we'll just like, it was like, I know you didn't watch it, but this is exactly what happened in the Witcher series. And I don't know if maybe anybody in the chat can back me up, but like, genuinely, like any of the cool scenes, like where Geralt was fighting a monster, like it'd be well lit for like a shot. It'd be like, oh, okay, like that looks good. And like the rest of the fight would be like shaky cam, darkness. The camera angle would face Geralt instead of the monster. And you're like, come on, guys. Like, we're here to watch The Witcher fight monsters. You could cut the cast in half. I would watch 5 episodes of just Henry Cavill walking around, like fighting monsters and talking to small, cheap villages. Like, it's like, that's what the show is. It actually should have been cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But instead they had all these extravagant sets, all these actors you don't care about.
Did you see the trailer for the new thing?
Oh my God, it is so bad.
There's only one thing I want to show.
You didn't watch them, have you?
No, I've seen. I watched part of this trailer. Do you?
Oh my gosh, this looks so bad.
I don't suppose you know how much this is costing.
The show? I have no idea. I would imagine the thing about Netflix is like, I don't know what would be expensive to them. Like, I don't know if Stranger Things is an expensive show, or if like, they don't have to release those numbers, do they?
No, they don't have to, but I would imagine they probably do sometimes.
That would surprise me if they admitted to that. Like, I'd love to know how much Cuties cost them, but I won't go there on this stream.
Yeah. Look at this set. Look at this
it's straight
set.
out of Star Wars. That's left over from the Boba Fett show. They bought
this
that from
looks
Disney.
terrible.
That looks so bad.
The best thing in this is this dude's costume right here.
That looks just looks over like a leftover from Game of Thrones. It actually
Well,
looks
exactly.
like a tow car.
It's like it is the best looking thing here. And also, and this is something you can answer. Are these symbols from The Witcher? Like,
well, so that's the thing is like it's not like the Witcher series is a book series, and then they turned it into the video games, and now it's a show. Right. So it's like a lot of it is like piecemeal. Like you don't. It's not like one. There is an overarching story, but not as you read it or learn it. You know what I mean? So like, he's aware. The author is aware that like it's a huge world. So you kind of have to like just at least like take chunks out of it at times. So it's like you'll have like a little self-contained story where Geralt does these things, and you're like, okay, well that's how werewolves work, and that's how this country works. But I have no idea about like how the war with Nilfgaard is going. You know what I mean? Just based on this story.
So you don't know if these 3-pronged swastikas are legit or not?
I have no idea. They almost look Celtish. Do you know what I mean? Like those Celtic symbols.
I know what you mean.
But actually, let me say this before we move on. Does this not look like you could, if you took it away and you just put like Numenor underneath that, does it not look the exact same?
Bro, it is the exact, I mean, put the camera in the doorway and aim it out into the courtyard, and it's the same shot in the trailer, in the Rings of Power trailer.
It is. It's the same shot. I'm surprised she's not saying, I guess these are all elves in this part of the story, but they're like, the men are going to come in and take our jobs. Like, yeah.
Well, that's a dwarf.
That's true. Yeah, but I don't know if you've seen the trailer. I think she's a dwarf elf. So she's I don't know what you're allowed to call them or what they want to be called, but she's like, it's not like a dwarf in the sense of like, Yargren Zegrin, who's an actual dwarf in the universe. Like Gimli's a dwarf because that's his race, right? Whereas like I think she's literally supposed to be a little person elf, so not like a different race. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
I think they're trying to like represent, which is just like
terrible.
I mean, it's just like it hurts. Like it just hurts my brain. And like, I know that's probably what they want. They're like, don't be so comfortable with your assumptions about what elves or dwarves look like. And it's just like, it's just so painful.
So this is the thing, like, gosh, do you know what, what's terminal velocity?
Terminal velocity?
Yeah, like, terminal velocity. No. The 8.9 meters per second. It's the speed of which, when you're falling, that's as fast as you fall.
Oh, you mean the speed of gravity is 9.8?
Okay, so 9.8. Sorry, not 8.9. Speed of light.
I think the speed of light is like it's 1 to a something power.
Is it 160,000 miles per hour a second?
I think
so. So there are scientific facts that you cannot argue. That's one of the things that's great about high fantasy is there are these things that we've all pretty much accepted as fact when it comes to writing high fantasy. And sometimes people change the thing and it does a very good job.
Oh, I see where you're going with
this.
But
most of the time they do a very bad job. And one of the things, yes, fantasy still has rules.
Yeah.
And when you break those rules for a modern audience, you ruin the story. And that's what we've seen with Rings of Power. That's what we've seen with Wheel of Time. Though, as I understand it, Wheel of Time's problems are just straight up breaking the story, not trying to be like, oh, well, we can have multiracial elves and things like that.
Yeah, I see. I can't speak to Wheel of Time. I
need to watch Dispar's thing on it,
but I just never read the books as a kid, and I feel like I wouldn't have a.
There's so many now that it's kind of like, oh, I don't really know if I want to challenge. Didn't he not even
finish them? Like it was.
Well,
like
yeah.
Not...
So the original author died after let's see if he's here. If Jack is here, he can tell us because he schooled me on it in Oz's Discord. But I think the original author died after either like the first 3 or the first 4, and then left like extreme detailed instructions to the guy that wrote the rest of them. Basically, what George is going to do.
Brandon Sanderson.
Do what?
Do you know if it was? I feel like that's what Brandon Sanderson was famous for, but maybe I'm mistaken there. I'm out of my realm.
The name sounds familiar.
Well, he's a big fantasy author now, and he's like basically. I mean, I don't want to say put words in other people's mouths, but essentially it was a few weeks or a few months ago, maybe it was like March of last year. I know he got like this big, huge book deal. It was like fun Kickstarted for like almost like over $20 million because what he does is like he plans every detail out and then like actually meets his deadlines, whereas like a lot of fantasy authors don't.
George.
And I think he embarrassed him a little bit because people are like, well, this guy should just finish the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Sanderson. So Robert Jordan was the original author, wrote, and I guess knew he was going to die. And then left an outline for Brandon Sanderson to write.
Okay, so I was right. Okay.
Yes.
Woo. Well, cool. Yeah. Well, he has a whole series now, and like, yeah, I know. He actually reacted to the Rings of Power. He has a YouTube channel, and his buddy was like, "Yeah, I'd say it's like a 7 or 8 out of 10." And all of a sudden, you see Brandon Sanderson's face, just like it's almost. I think it's turned into a GIF now. People are using where he's just like is so surprised his friend rated it that high. He's like, "What the heck? Like, it's definitely not a 7 or 8. Like for sure. Like." House of the Dragon is, and it's going up my book. I think it's bringing up to an 8.8 now. 8.7.
House of the Dragon. I could talk about it for days, dude. I love it.
I know. I'm still.
I need to rewatch it.
I did.
The only issue I have with rewatching it is the scene with Patty Constantine coming down the hall will never be as powerful as the first time it happened.
I challenge you to watch it again, my friend. It is just
because
powerful, especially knowing everything that happens. You're like, this is a big moment.
Yeah.
It is very good. I can't bring myself to even give a shit about Game of Thrones though. Like I was like, maybe I'll watch the first season. I was like, no.
Well, I think I said this on I was on the men's room live stream 2 weeks ago. I think I said this on that, but I was rereading them and watching their corresponding seasons. And I finished the third. Yeah. I finished the third book. I couldn't bring myself to watch the show because I said, this is the end. When I finish season 4, that's it. Everything else is downhill. I still like seasons 5 and 6 for varying reasons. But once I finish once I finish the 4th season, I'd start the 4th book. And it's my least favorite one. But it's also the shortest one. So, it's kind of easy.
I like A Feast for Crows.
Do what?
I like A Feast for Crows. I kind of like.
I just didn't like any of the POVs.
I did. I liked that we took a break and like kind of basically like such traumatic things happened, like traumatic things happened at the end of Storm of Swords and like the whole book. That like the next book is almost like after a meal, you like unbutton your top button and you're like, all right, well, let's keep going. Like, you realize what you're signed up for. And you're like, yeah, okay. It makes sense that we would have players in these other areas. Let me strap in here and figure out what's going on here.
And then you've got Egg.
Is just like, he doesn't have a plan.
No, I think he waited too long to introduce this Egg character. So he's sitting there trying to figure out, how am I going to make this pay off? How am I going to make the magic of the candles in the Citadel pay off? How am I going to make the story of the wall payoff. He doesn't know how he's gonna do all this payoff, and all he
Yeah.
really has to do is release Winds of Winter and tell us, okay, guys, it's gonna be a long time before A Dream of Spring. If he hadn't said, I am going to write the sixth book will release in time for the show to keep going. If he hadn't said 7 different times it's coming out by this date, then I don't think we'd have nearly as much a problem as we do. But he constantly told us, he gaslit us every single time.
Well, so speaking of gaslighting and my foolish hope, it's been 4,167 days since the release of The Winds of Winter, and apparently there is a new update that George R. R. Martin says he only has another 400 to 500 pages to write on Winds of Winter, posted 1 day ago from Polygon.
So that is what? 5 chapters?
That's huge. That's huge. Like, that's like the most definitive statements, one of the most definitive statements he's ever had.
So now then the question about then I think that definitely proves the whole he rewrote everything.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing I don't like either, is everyone, like, you get into these arguments with people on Reddit and they're just like, oh, well, he definitely said that Sansa's going to burn his daughter. Yeah, well, yeah. It's like, oh, it definitely says that Stannis is going to burn his daughter, and like all this. He's definitely said these things. It's like, well, is it written down? Like, has he finished it? Because words are wind. Like, he could change his mind at any time. He himself, it's just like the fallacy that is his argument of like, oh, well, I'm a gardener, so I take my time, but I also have these super strict points I need to get to. And it's like, well, it doesn't work like that. You don't stretch your vine to get to the roof. Like, you let it grow. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, yeah.
It's just so like it's like he wants his cake to eat it too. He's like, oh well, I get to take my time, but don't worry, I also have an ending because of XYZ. You're just like, I don't think you've set these things up in your stories for those conclusions. Like Bran becoming king, I don't think you've set that up. I think that maybe was the case maybe 10 years ago when you had the 5-year gap. Maybe that would have worked, but I don't think I think the story changed. Because there was never a plan. I think that's going to be the biggest reveal, is that like he's just kind of not making it up as he goes along, but there was never like it's like what happened when it came out when he wrote the first 3 books. He didn't even know what a Blackfire was. His books were written almost 25 years ago. You know what I mean?
Oh God,
and it's like he had to make all that up to fit in of why Aegon would be so important, and everyone's just like, so this wasn't even part of the original story. So now you're just retroactively adding stuff. And then it's like with the Fire and Blood show, like, don't get me wrong, I like House of the Dragon, but it feels like this is the actual story he wished he had written. No White Walkers, bunch of dragons, like this is where the politics come into play. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like with the Game of Thrones series, everything got too out of hand. Whereas with the Fire and Blood or with the House of the Dragon, he almost isn't as attached to those characters. So it's easier for him to be like, oh yeah, and then I'm not going to spoil anything, but then this person dies. Like, and then, you know what I mean? So it's like,
it's been a month.
He's not going to do that to Arya. Like, he's not going to do that to Arya.
By now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. What it feels like, and I think one of the issues with watching so many of these streamers is, I forget who said what, but somebody said that D&D's main goal was to film the Red Wedding and then the Find the Wall. And after that, they were just kind of like, oh yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're just going to phone this in. Hence I guess Danny just kind of forgot.
Oh God. He must be still kicking himself for saying that.
Okay, so what's worse? Danny kind of forgot, or maybe y'all should have bought a better TV.
Dude, I am reading this interview now between George R. Martin and this guy, and apparently the guy just like it says he's taking him to task, and he's like, he suggests that Martin has writer's constipation and advises him to change up his writing methods. In terms of still using a DOS computer and the WordStar word processor, he says, try something else then, because that's not working.
Oh, great. Now he's just going to make us wait an extra month.
Oh, I know.
But I'm excited that I will be starting my Inheritance Cycle read through next week.
Oh, cool.
Yep, I just got a what is it? A hardcover box set in the mail. Actually, my brother came over the other day to pick up my old computer because I'm selling it to him, and he said, and I was like, yeah, I messaged Christopher Polini on Twitter about it, and I was just telling him that I've been trying to find this for a long time. I love the books, and he sent me the box set, and I had my brother completely believe in the thing, and then I was like, I said, yeah, I've got signatures in here, and so I go to open up one of the books, and I slide my hand into the book as I'm opening it, and just do a middle finger. And I was just like, oh, gotcha.
Burn.
I enjoyed that.
Dude, sorry, I was reading down on some of these comments on the on that article getting posted onto Reddit. And like the top comment is like, give me something for the pain and let me die.
Yeah,
Which is Robert Baratheon's last words.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like just fucking
I love this comment on Polygon, which is a weird thing to say, is really funny. Only 500 pages. That only is doing some serious lifting.
Yeah, that only is doing some serious lifting.
Or yeah, it's just around the corner. Winds of Winter is never coming.
Oh, jeez.
Elder Scrolls 6 will be released before the Winds of Winter. Wouldn't that be funny?
Oh my God! Did you see that really funny post where there's people I think in southeastern Turkey found new like tablets of the Gilgamesh epic?
No.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the post was like new Gilgamesh dropped before Winds of Winter.
Yeah, okay, yes, I did. Yes. Yeah. It was like a new chapter for the oldest epic in history just dropped before Winds of Winter did.
Before Winds of Winter.
Yeah. They I think they found another thing not too long ago as well. Didn't they find like a new part of the Rosetta Stone or something like that?
I don't know. I mean, you know who found that though, right? Like whose expedition found that?
I did a couple years ago. I've forgotten since.
Napoleon, when he invaded Egypt. He brought over 100 academics with him, archaeologists, linguists, scientists, chemists, all these people, and they're the ones who found the Rosetta Stone.
Yep.
So that's the only reason why we know what some of these things are.
What a great time of history. The Napoleonic era, even with all of its wars, just a great
fascinating time.
Yeah. And
a whole different generation of people.
Oh yeah. There's not enough entertainment about it.
No, it's almost like an untouched area. Like,
yeah, I mean,
because it's so complex, like so much emanated from that area. It's like, I mean, he brought down the Holy Roman Empire. Like, that was it. It was over. Mm-hmm. Gone. Bye.
Thousands of years of human history gone.
I mean, not gone, but just dissolved.
Well, right.
Like,
yeah.
Right,
dissolves better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I'm trying to figure out what my next game stream is going to be. And I was thinking of doing Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a game that takes place in the Holy Roman Empire. I think it's in was today's Poland. And I played on the Xbox. Absolutely loved it. I think I'm going to do it again on the PC.
They do it up.
Yeah.
Did you see that new? There's a new game coming out. I think it's pretty far away, but it's like a medieval combat against zombies. Like I just saw
yes, I did. I saw the trailer. I'm so excited.
It looks so good. Like especially like the brutality of the combat where he's like you smash the shield in his face and you're just like, yeah, that shield's a weapon, bro. Like,
oh yeah.
That's I'd watch Shad play that.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love to see Shad discuss the intricacies of why the armor wouldn't move like that.
Well, I would imagine he'd be like, yeah, you're not getting out from that without some help.
Retarded.
That should just be the name of his channel. Like that's just all it needs to be.
That's great.
Yeah, but well, I guess we started this with House of Dragon. I mean, it's still very good. I mean, I'm excited to see the end of it. I don't know where they're going to go after this. I don't know if they're going to try and make another spinoff or if they're going to do some kind of sequel with Jon Snow.
Well, I'll tell you what they need to do. Assuming this sticks the landing, they're doing a very good job flipping on the polls right now. Doing a very good job. They're earning a lot of points. They got to stick that landing though.
Yeah.
Little gymnastics humor there. No one will get that joke. And if they do it, then what they need to do is they need to take a year and they need to write up a Blackfire Rebellion story.
They already have them. Those are already all written.
In Fire and Blood, you mean?
They're written in the Dunk and Egg novels. That's where you get your Blackfire histories from, because that's what's going on when Dunk and Egg are in their travels. So
it's the end of the rebellion, though, isn't it?
There's 5 rebellions,
right?
So it's the end of one of them. It's the aftermath of one of them, but then the next one is about to start. One of them gets snuffed out. That's where you get your histories of them. Like that is like kind of he did write that stuff, I guess, and not in like a how do I say this? As much as he could write it, he's already written it. I mean, because all we're getting from him is like secondhand accounts from unreliable narrators. Like, I'm not trying to sound ungrateful, but like Ryan Condal has done more for the Westeros in the last 10 years than George R. R. Martin has, because he's at least saying like, no, this is what happened. Condal. Ryan Condal's the showrunner for House of Dragon.
Okay. I thought so, but now he's now the showrunner.
Yeah, he's now the showrunner. He's
gone.
They were the showrunners. Now he's the showrunner.
Okay,
yeah. He's the writer and the showrunner.
All right, so the Blackfire Rebellion starts. The first one starts when Baelor names all his bastards.
Aegon the Fourth.
Oh. Okay.
Aegon the Fourth, Aegon the Unworthy, on his deathbed, declares his bastards to be all trueborns. They take up the sigil of Blackfire, led by Daemon Blackfire, Daemon Targaryen, who was like the best knight and chivalrous and kind and good. And then there was his brother, Daeron, I think. Daeron.
There's a Daeron here. Yeah, Daeron 2 Targaryen.
Yeah, he marries the Martells, and then that's how that happens.
How do you just know all this? Do you just go home and read the wiki?
No, I've read all the books.
I have too. I don't remember this.
Yeah, because it's like the story is what's important, not like the facts, right? So that's all juicy because it's like everyone sees Daeron as like a betrayer because so many people have died in the Dornish Wars. You know what I mean? So it's like they're like, how could you marry our enemies? Like they've been killing us for years. You know what I mean? And so they side with Daemon. Daemon represents like the true Targaryen. You know what I mean? Like he's got the sword and the crown. So it's only the king can wield the sword, kind of thing. But that's what happens. But we get that telling in the second Dunk and Egg novella the Hedge Knight, where Dunk is working for a Marcher Lord.
So the Starks stayed out of it.
For the most part. But the problem with the Starks is like we'll see this in House of the Dragon, is it takes so long to assemble the forces of the North.
Yeah.
Like they're always kind of like a weird deciding factor because nothing usually hinders them because Moat Cailin only works one way.
Right. Well, as is tradition, let's pull it up.
Yes. Well, here's our Game of Thrones portion of our podcast here.
My favorite part. Here we have the neck.
So basically, it takes
Cailin
so
right
long.
Here.
Yeah, and if you notice, there's
the big problem is we have no clear information of how big this place is, because the wall is supposed to be 300 leagues long, yet the league they use is not the correct measurement. And then the distance from Dorne to, I think, the wall is supposed to be the same as north to south of South America.
That's what the alleged rumor is, but he's so bad with distances and lengths and stuff like that it's just like, I think he thought that this was what England could kind of represent. Mm-hmm. But it's just
honestly, what he should have just done is he should have just kept the measurements of England and Scotland, because that's what this is. This is Scotland, and this is England.
But he can't have these huge, vast, giant kingdoms that never actually conquered each other in thousands of years. Because like England, while it did have warring states at one point, it was eventually conquered and united.
Yeah, but it took horses to do that.
Yeah, but this is supposed to have like
damn Normans.
Westeros is supposed to be inhabited for the last 8,000 years.
True.
It just doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, like, it's a fantasy world where we just kind of have to imagine that maybe time and space work differently. Maybe lengths do change in Westeros. You know what I mean?
Excellent.
But yeah, so that's the problem with the North, is that they always take too long to assemble, and nobody can technically keep them at bay.
They take so long because, you've only got, what is this, 10 good houses in the North.
Yeah, there's a lot of smaller houses that aren't listed on this map too.
Yeah. And so you've got you've probably got 20% of the North that lives in or around Winterfell.
I would say the majority of the North actually lives in White Harbor.
White Harbor?
Yeah, that's the biggest city in the North.
So here's a question. Is there a reason why White Harbor and Driftmark kind of look the same?
I don't know. There's all these rumors that the Manderleys are actually descended from the mermaids, because if you scroll down to the Reach, is where they're actually from. You can find the River Mander.
Right.
They were kicked out, and so they have all these ties.
They're kicked out. I read this. They are kicked out during one of the wars prior to the Targaryens arriving.
Yeah, the Green.
I think it's a war having to do with Old Town.
Well, originally the Tyrells were just the Tyrells were stewards of the Green Hands. Garth descended from the legendary Garth Green Hand. And the Green Hands, they had children and relationships with everybody all over the Reach. So we don't really know the true reason why they were kicked out. Like, we know it must have been something bad or maybe a misunderstanding, but essentially it was so confusing that I guess the Starks felt sympathy for them, and they let them settle there, and that's why they're so loyal in the books.
Well, and one of the things that I think is really interesting is how there's so many primary and secondary houses that pop up. So, you've got Starfall, which is the main house of House Dane. But then High Hermitage is the secondary house.
Yes. because people
Right.
think that the Danes are actually descendants from the great empire of the Dawn, and they were
Yeah.
here before the Targaryens,
And they'll be here
and
after.
they'll be there after. And people think that Dawn, the legendary sword, is the same sword that ended the Long Night.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a long standing theory because George R. R. Martin hasn't revealed the words of House Dane, which he says would be too big of a spoiler for the story. So that only leads me to conclude that the words of House Dane must be dawn ends the long night.
That'd be pretty cool.
I think that'd be cool. I mean, obviously I'm
I
a little
mean,
biased. That's
we'll
my
see.
own theory, but
It could be, but it could also just be because uh they have an awesome family sword. Which, by the way, where is that sword? Do we know?
oh yeah, they have it. Whatchamacallit has it. No. Nobody's allowed to use it yet because it needs the sword of the morning needs to draw it.
And no one has. They haven't had an heir like.
In the original plan, when the 5 year gap was there was a young squire who traveled with Beric Dondarrion. His name
Mhm.
was Edric Dane, and he was named
Yes.
after Ned. He traveled with Arya. He gave us the exposition of Jon's relationship with Starfall, and in the original plan, he was supposed to age up with the Brotherhood of Banners and become a really young, strong knight who was going to go and wield the sword. But he had to be replaced with an older cousin, Gerald Dane, who's Darkstar.
Where? What is this 5 year plan you keep talking about?
There was a plan allegedly, I think it was around 2010 or 11, that he was going to do a 5 year gap after the events of Storm of Swords. So everyone was going to kind of like go to where they needed to be. Like Arya was going to get to Bravos, Bran was going to get to the Tree Guy,
Yeah.
Rickon was going to get to Skagos, Jon was going to become Lord Commander, Stannis was going to be at the Wall. There was going to be like a 5 years that went by after the events.
Okay.
So it was a chance to age everybody up. Like, oh, now Arya is this badass assassin. But then he kept running into these problems of it was just all flashbacks. Because that's what people wanted to know. It was like, okay, well,
What happened?
What happened? What
Yeah.
did the North? What happened? You know what I mean? Like, and
Mhm.
so it just turned into. I think it was too much.
And you can't just fill all the information with, 3 or 4 sentences here and there that say, well, don't forget,
Yeah.
I spent, 2 years on the road to the north.
Yes, yeah. And it's like the way the events have shaped in the first 3 books, you're like, things move quickly. Like, you know, it's at the King's Road he can ride, you know what I mean? Like, there's supposed to be dragons on the way, right? Like, and it was going to give a chance for the dragons to grow up, right?
Yeah.
So it was like now there's these whole problems. But yeah, apparently he just scrapped it and just went with a few different character changes and just kind of kept going. But I think he's running into issues because he set some stuff up for that resolution with those things. Like he's got to keep writing Arya chapters, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, we're gonna keep reading about Arya and Bravos, and it's just kind of like, you know, it's exciting, I guess, to like hear, but you're kind of just like, maybe we don't have to have a book with Arya chapters, and he did that, and so it didn't really work because he still couldn't really just keep doing flashbacks. But it's a whole thing. Needless to say, I think either he's got to just put some stuff on the paper and admit that it's not going to make sense entirely, or just never release it, because that's apparently, it's hearsay. I'll be the first to admit it, but there is somebody who gave an interview that said that he knew George R. R. Martin back in the day, and George R. R. Martin said to this gentleman, I can't remember the name, and I'll find the quote for you before our next stream. He says, if I was a real devious bastard, I would write one of those. And this is before he wrote Game of Thrones. This was back when he was writing sci-fi. It was like back in the 90s. He said, if I was a real devious bastard, I would write one of those sword and sorcery novels, call it a trilogy, and never finish it. And it's like, okay, well, I'd love to confront him with that quote because, you know, it's like, we know hearsay is not admissible, so we shouldn't use it against people because that's not right. But unless you can confront them with that quote and say, "Well, did you say this?" and give him a chance to clear his name, be like, "Oh no, I didn't say that."
It's
like,
only
"Oh, okay."
hearsay if you use it in court.
Right, but I still like to apply it in real life too.
Yeah.
Because, you
Makes
get
you a
into
better
trouble
person.
with that. Well, I mean, it's just like it helps keep things clear for you. Like you're like, that's probably not true because that person's probably not going to testify to that in court. But it's fun rumors. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, before we move on, remind me, where's Rickon supposed to be?
Up
He's
there,
supposed
you're
to
in
be
the
in
right
one of
spot
these
in
clans, isn't
Skagos.
he?
Yeah, I think it's what are the names of the clans? Because I don't know if he's going to a specific one.
Stain, Crowl, and Magnar.
Yeah, I don't know because Magnars is Then for chief, and the
Yeah.
Thens are way up in the
Yeah,
Frostbank.
they're
So
right here.
yeah, so that just leaves evidence to believe that they were all united at one point. Like
Mhm.
the wildlings are first men. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Crazy
yeah, I'm not
people.
sure if he's with a specific thing. The
Okay.
big thing is that Davos is on his way there.
Yes. And well, wait. So Davos ends up in White Harbor, which is where we get that amazing chapter with Lord Manderley.
Yep, with the quote about the Mummer's Farce. Yep.
Yeah, love it. I've listened to it several times. Just that little bit. Good. Is he not there at that moment to pick up Rickon?
Rickon's not in White Harbor. Rickon's still in Skagos. But so the not to go too much into it, but there's a kid who was an Ironborn who was at the siege of Winterfell when Ramsay killed everybody and killed Theon's men and took him captive. He escaped and saw Rickon and Bran leave because he was hiding in a tree. And then when they emerged, he stayed hidden and he saw them leave. The problem is that he's mute. So they had to teach him words. Actually, it was Robert Glover who found him and who's still loyal to the Starks,
of course,
and who's in hiding in White Harbor with the young Ironborn boy. The Ironborn boy's name is Wex, and he's the one who told Lord Manderley that Bran and Rickon are still alive and that Rickon's going to Skagos. And Lord Manderley's like, well, Bran, if he's going north, he's either got something to do or he's dead. So go get me Rickon, and then I'll declare Stannis my king. So then he's going to send Davos up to Skagos from White Harbor. So
yeah,
and people speculate that there's a dragon on Skagos.
It's the cannibal.
It's cannibal, yeah.
That would, oh my gosh. I hope not. I think throwing in a random dragon halfway through or almost at the end would.
I know, but then there's all the rumors. I hate to say it. There's the prophecies of awakening the stone dragon, which people think they're either going to literally be all the dragons of Dragonstone, or that grayscale is going to be this like untamable beast once it gets spread through Westeros, or that there is, and I just get ready for this one, that there is a dragon underneath Winterfell.
I've read about that one.
That's a whole thing.
I still, and I put every single time someone posts on the Song of Ice and Fire Reddits, what's a theory that you hope comes true? I always go with that the Starks of old will rise and fight against the dead.
I love that one. Like,
there's so many people that don't want it though. I always get a bunch of replies that are like, I would hate Stark zombies.
I am so about. We'll get ready for Jon Snow zombie.
I'm really curious how they're going to do that.
And also, we already have Catelyn Stark zombie. So
yeah,
shut up, dude. I'm so okay with more magic coming into this and less cynicism. Like, I want people to be like, he's just subverting everything. It's like, you don't actually read these, do you? Because he actually likes fantasy. He's just presenting these stories in different ways. He's not saying that the hero with the lost bloodline can never be the hero because that's too on the nose. He's saying that, like, you might not expect the hero with the lost bloodline to maybe die in the middle of it and get resurrected. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
So it's just like, just why don't you just see where he's going with it before you speak for him?
Yeah.
But I was actually going to ask you if you saw any of those behind the scenes of Rings of Power.
No, I haven't watched them yet. I'm going to. Are they as bad as I assume they are?
They are as bad as you would assume they are. It shows even more incompetence. Like, I'll just use one example, but like, do
Please.
you remember the scene where she like pushes the three Numenorian guards into the jail?
The four? Yes.
Yeah. Well, she like pushes three of them at one time, and then she like grabs the fourth and throws them in,
Oh, yeah.
right? But it's
Hmm.
like the awkwardness of the first one where she just like, oh, you guys go in there, and then she grabs the next person. They show that from different angles, and buddy, it is even worse. It's like, why are you even showing this?
Yeah. So behind the scenes are usually released to uh increase conversation and usually done before either a new season is about to release or information is about to drop or something like that, or they're getting ready to sell something. It's like Lord of the Rings does it. There's always the new rumors of releasing all of the behind the scene footage that they have, because the stuff that we have on the appendices is supposed to only be like 20% of the stuff that they've actually filmed. And every single time Lord of the Rings says, or Warner says, hey, we're going to make a new collector's edition, they always say, and there'll be more behind the scenes footage. And it always gets idiots like me excited. And then we find out that it's actually just the same stuff, or you know, uh a stupid interview between super fan Stephen Colbert, who didn't know half the stuff that he was talking about when interviewing Rings of Power cast
Yeah,
members.
yeah,
That
he was
was
just reading a script every
ridiculous.
time he thought. Like, I remember finding out that he was reading a script when he had that James Franco interview. I was like, oh my god! Like, he knew James Franco was going to ask him that question. He's like, I want you to name two of the Valar. He just like names like 10, and you're like, wow, this guy's a super fan. And then you find out that he just memorized that. Like,
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That really disgusts me.
I mean, it's just like, I get that you're a fan, dude. We're all fans, but like, there's no reason to like front about it. I get that's just how he made his brand, though. Was like
Yeah.
being the kind of like the snarky, well-spoken, know-it-all. But like, I don't know. He used to be funny.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed the Colbert Report.
The
Um
Colbert Report. No, I'm just kidding. He used to
uh
not say his T's. Remember?
no, I don't.
Oh yeah, it used to always be the Colbert Report.
Oh yeah, no, I've forgotten that. Well, he went to school with my dad and my uncle.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Um I don't know if I should have said that. People will know where my dad went to high school.
Uh oh.
Well, all one of them. That's okay.
That's all right. Maybe in 15 years when this video has 1 billion views.
Yeah, there's the dream.
Here's to those out there in 2037. Just keeping it real. Keep it real, guys.
um yeah, no,
Yeah, it just showed even worse stuff, man. I mean, I would just encourage you to maybe just give them a peek,
yeah.
but they're going to make you mad. I mean, they made me mad. I'm just like, I would have loved to have spent 2 hours committed to making a show about Lord of the Rings, and then these people get to do it. And you're just like, oh, geez, and they don't even,
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
even like it. Like, you see it in their
Yeah,
faces that they're
that's
like,
so
oh yeah, like the
disgusting.
director. It's like you can see he's like, yeah, I just really wanted to like show different angles, and you're just like, are you dumb?
Yeah, he is.
And he is, and he's like, I want to bring some fresh light into it by showing different angles. It's like, what are you talking about, dude?
I stick by what I said, months ago. If they want to succeed, they need to retcon the whole thing, fire everybody, and beg on their knees for Peter Jackson to come in and do it. Because I tell you what, Peter Jackson could do it cheaper.
I wouldn't even want Peter Jackson to bail him out.
You want to see? You want? Well, yeah, I think watching Amazon fail would be funnier.
I
Plus,
mean,
now
it's just
now
like
that we're doing this,
I'd rather just see a company just be honest. Like, hey
yeah,
guys, we just messed that up. Like we just like
hmm
show some humility. Like just admit it. Just and then we can all just be like, okay, we're not crazy. What do you have next? Like at least you're human beings and not just like these automatons that are just like, oh, we never mess up. We never mess up. We never mess up. You're just like, oh my God, okay. Well, I never want to see anything you do.
yeah, but they never will.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. It's just like really, 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 really boring. Like I, I hear the God, I can't even begin to explain. It's just like so pretentious. I think that's the only thing I can describe. I had to describe my law clerk as pretentious today. And it was just like for the same reasons. I'm like, you don't want to try. You think you know it. You think you're better than people, and you're not. You haven't earned anything. You're just a fucking law clerk. And it's getting to the point where I'm like, I don't even, it's the same thing. It's like, I don't even give him anything because I don't feel like explaining it, correcting it. I'd rather just do it. And so now here I am making a podcast because I don't even feel like watching entertainment. You know what I mean? Like,
So
does
this
that
is funny.
correlate?
Hey, go over to IMDb real quick and
Okay.
scroll down to top picks and
Okay.
tell me what you see.
IMDb.com. Scroll over to top picks. Where's top picks?
Down near the bottom or halfway.
I have originals. Explore what's streaming in theaters. I have top
So
box office.
there's the top, the front, the main screen little stuff. Then scroll down past featured today, IMDb best of 2022, and the end of that is what to watch.
Okay, I have what to watch.
Okay, what's your number one?
Oh, I don't have an account.
Yeah, I don't either.
It doesn't
So,
it doesn't give me anything. I can say
oh,
get more recommendations.
now I have this thing has like picks for me, but I don't
Yeah,
have an
do you have an
account.
account? Oh,
No,
it doesn't tell you to sign in. Mine says
no,
sign in.
yeah, mine says sign in, but then there's suggestions of what to watch from the Amazon owned IMDb. Number one on my thing, The Peripheral.
Hmm.
Number two is Andor. Three is Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. Return of the King, Game of Thrones, Fellowship of the Ring, House of the Dragon, The Crown. Have you noticed what I haven't said yet?
Rings power.
On the Amazon owned IMDb, they're not advertising Rings of Power.
Good.
In fact, it wasn't on any of this. On the last thing is Jack Ryan and the boys. But that seems, it feels like they've given up.
I think they have. I mean, I didn't win any awards, did they? I think it
So
just happened a little bit ago, like
let's
last night or something.
see. People's Choice Awards. The real awards. I don't want to give a click to CNN. Vote PCA. Let's see. Movie or no. Okay. So this is one really terrible thing. Top movie was Doctor Strange. Not the Batman, not Top Gun Maverick. The highest grossing movie of the year, Top Gun Maverick, did not win top movie of the year.
That explains it.
Top comedy movie, The Adam Project. Didn't see it, but of all the things on this list, I believe it. Top Gun Maverick did win action movie of the year over The Woman King.
Were the Oscars or something last night?
No, these are People's Choice Awards. Um, the show of the year was Stranger Things. Rings of Power was not nominated. The nominations were Abbott Elementary, Grey's Anatomy, Obi-Wan Kenobi, This Is Us, Stranger Things, Saturday Night Live, House of the Dragon, and Better Call Saul. Also, I've never watched it. I don't know if you've watched it or if your fiance's watched it. Grey's Anatomy, isn't the main character, isn't her name Meredith Grey? And that's
I
why
think
it's
so.
called
Yeah,
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's
Okay,
Anatomy. Yeah,
isn't she leaving the show? Like, I could have sworn that I read something that she's leaving after this season and they're going to keep the show going. How do you keep the show going that's named after the main character without the main character?
I mean, we'll figure out how that works with the Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's I was saying that today with my fiance. We were watching something about it because we love The Witcher. I love the games. I love the books. She loves Henry Cavill. She likes the games as well. You know, it's all around, and I like Henry Cavill too. It's all around a good fit. And we were saying, I was like, we were talking about that interview that the showrunner gave, and she was like, please come watch it. Please stick around because this is about.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is about blood origin and it's their time to shine. And it was like the name of the show is called The Witcher Blood Origin. How can people not think of Henry Cavill when the name of the show is called The Witcher Blood Origin? Like your entire brand is built around a character.
Yeah.
Like it's not called,
Did you hear the other thing they announced? So what was the most popular item in Witcher 3?
What do you mean?
The key to Yennefer's room was like a very common item.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, so there's a joke that when you pick up, the key to Yennefer's room, and it says common item, as if she's a whore.
I think that was just a mistake because there's different items. Like there's magic items, there's common items,
there's rare, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what's funny is it won't be listed as a common item in the new game.
Dude, I almost don't even want to update mine.
Yeah.
I don't think I will.
I think that's hilarious.
I mean, I just don't even want to know what they're gonna change to be dead ass. Like, I'm so tired of people going back and messing with my memory that I'm just.
It's the Mandela effect.
I guess so, yeah. And I just heard about that the other day.
Really?
Yeah, where it's like something is discussed and so it doesn't.
Do you remember him dying in the 80s?
Well, I wasn't there, but
right.
Yeah. So I don't even know. It seems like I don't know. It's hard to speak about because you kind of sound crazy when you start to talk about it.
100%. Yes.
But I do remember it's like what is the other one? Is the Berenstein Bear effect?
Yeah. So
that's the one I'm familiar with.
There's a couple. I always get that one. There's one about the Simpsons. I can never remember what that one is. I forget. I was just looking at this the other day because as I said earlier, I was rewatching Criminal Minds, and there's two really big psychological things that come up in like the 14th season. One is the Mandela effect, and the other is the I think it's called the blip. No, it's not called the blip. I don't know. It's a phenomenon where people report hearing this like buzzing, and for some people it's driven them to like psychosis.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. It's a very there's a lot of very interesting stuff that comes up in that show. And it's one of the reasons why I like that show, because it was very interesting, especially at the beginning, when it was much more about figuring out why the killer was doing it instead of just becoming a procedural show, which is what it became. But yeah, I know you've got to go in a couple minutes.
Yeah, there was some things I did want to talk about before we wrapped up.
Oh, how about this real quick? Cause I just hopped over to YouTube. I just saw this. Have you watched the Indiana Jones trailer?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, real quick.
Oh, my
First
God.
off, stupid name.
Yeah, I think it's great. I don't know if you
Stupid
saw Az's video the other day. He said Indiana Jones and the Please God Make It Stop.
I haven't watched it yet, but I have. I did see the name. Yeah, that's
Really funny.
Dial of Destiny is a stupid name.
It sounds like a board game. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like a Nickelodeon TV show, game show
From like 1999.
Yeah, like Legend of the Hidden Temple, followed by the Dial of Destiny. See if you can call all your friends in time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so stupid. Like,
Yeah. It's that. It's
and D does not work with alliteration. It all sounds dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb dead dogs stick around diligently. It's bad.
And then you've got and this is another thing that we don't have to say a lot because everyone's heard the same thing. But you put your best stuff in a trailer because it's the best shot at getting people to come watch your movie. And if that was their best stuff, this is going to be the worst movie of 2023.
It seems like it.
I mean, young indie, you've got terrible CGI. I don't know who's making CGI over there at Disney, but they need to be fired because they're terrible at it. Well, actually, I know what happened. They've all been working on Avatar for the last 4 years.
Yeah, it seems like they've all been working on it for.
That's why everything looks like crap now, because they've all been busy with Avatar.
It seems like it.
Maybe.
Hey, dude, do you want to watch a trailer?
Yeah, for what?
There's a new Three Musketeers trailer coming out.
Yes, so I see that right here. I was going to watch it the second we finish, but I'll watch it on this.
Let's watch it now. Let's get a reaction to it, and then we can wrap up after that because I need something hopeful.
Well, if that's Emily Blunt playing,
it's not
the Countess. Then okay, good.
Well,
do you want to pull it up, or do you want me to?
I think you already got it. I see it on your preview.
Okay. Okay. Now let's see if I can do this the first time so that I don't have to apologize to Gary. Okay. Add to stream. Can you hear this?
No.
Okay.
So I think you have to share audio as well somehow. Let me see if I can figure it out, and then we can talk through it. Sorry, everybody. Bear with us for a second.
Camera.
Okay, let's see.
If you figure it out, you do it.
Share tab audio. I think I got it.
Okay.
All right, so this is going to play.
I'll let you know if I can hear it.
Big screen. Does that look bigger on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay.
Oh, hang on.
Je suis Charles d'Artagnan. Aussi loin que je me souvienne, j'ai toujours rêvé d'être mousquetaire.
D'Artagnan, vous êtes le fils d'Achille?
Oui. Je rêvais comme lui d'enfiler la casaque et de servir mon roi.
Rejoindrez les cadets. Et un jour, peut-être, vous serez mousquetaire.
Excusez-moi.
Quoi, c'est tout?
Vous voulez donc que je déclare la guerre aux protestants?
Et à l'Angleterre.
Ce serait intelligent que d'avoir peur.
Votre Éminence,
Il est dit.
Buckingham et la reine vont enfin pouvoir se retrouver.
La reine préfère le déshonneur à la guerre. Elle aura le déshonneur. Et nous aurons la guerre.
Dude, it looks good.
Le roi n'a pas d'amis. Il n'a que des sujets et des ennemis.
Ils sont 7, nous sommes 3. Il me semble à moi que nous sommes 4.
Tout ce que j'ai fait, que je vais faire, je l'ai fait pour la grandeur de la France.
Ils ne veulent pas de ma paix. Nous verrons s'ils préfèrent ma guerre.
Secrétaire. Vous êtes soldat pour mourir. Je vous emmène là où on meurt.
Bro, that looks awesome.
Daggum.
Oh, that looks that is gonna be awesome.
Dude, that looks sick.
I am okay, so I assume it's gonna be in French. So we'll need subtitles.
Yeah, and I don't know. I was going to ask you about that once I saw it. How do you feel about subtitles movies? I prefer them anymore.
So I actually play almost everything with subtitles on.
Me too.
I do not, however, watch like foreign TV with subtitles. So like
foreign TV, I think foreign films are really what I stick
to.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Yeah, foreign cinema. So there is a movie on Netflix that I want to plug real quick called let me just make sure I get the name right. The Resistance Banker. It's a Danish film about the Danish resistance during World War II. And it's incredible. And it's dubbed, but it's dubbed in such a way and was filmed in such a way that unless you're like trying to read lips, you don't really notice it. So, and that's also how I watched the Amazon show El Cid. It's Spanish, but there's English dubbing, and so that's what I watched. And luckily, I was working while I watched it, so I wasn't really paying attention to the screen that much. So that's I hope they do that with this. I hope they have English dub, and that way it's just kind of easier for me. But this, I mean, there wasn't a single point in that I was like, "There's no way that's accurate." That looked amazing.
Dude, I'm really glad that just stuck out to me because I'm a huge Three Musketeers fan. Like, I love the story.
Yeah.
I love
even the Disney movie from the 90s is pretty
Sutherland. Good. Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. Every single time I go to turn it on, though, I'm convinced it's actually Ewan McGregor, and then I realize it's Kevin Sutherland, and I'm kind of like, "Oh, that's right."
I know that was, that's a great movie, and then it's got I forget
Tim
his
Curry,
name, the guy who plays Porthos. Yeah, Tim Curry's great in that movie.
Yeah,
God, phenomenal. The guy who plays Porthos.
It's Chris something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. That part is just iconic. Where they're like,
this was given to me by the King of America, by the Queen of America.
America doesn't have
There's
a queen.
No Queen of America.
That's it. I challenge you to a duel.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a big fan of that movie.
Yeah,
It's
big
actually
fan.
that's actually what got me into the Three Musketeers, and I finally read it a while ago. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, though, but the Disney movie actually does a very good job of telling the story.
I was just gonna say, I other than a few artistic liberties, it's one of those
Yeah.
movies that I think got harder critique back in the day because there was so much good going on
Mhm.
that I think it just got overshadowed. I mean, some of the costumes in that movie, some of the
Yeah.
sets, some of the
Mhm.
props. I mean, I just I
But
know
so
it's
that's
probably
what,
viewed as like a little like dramatic and cheesy at some parts,
yeah.
but like I love it. Like
So
I love
that's
the part when
what,
he whips out the bolo and he's like, "Oh, I just got this," and he's like,
yeah. That's what gets me with the trailer, though. Weren't the Musketeers actually, hadn't they been disbanded, or was that something that was just taken for the Disney movie?
They I don't know if you saw in that part where it's like it seems to be there's four of us. You know that part? They were basically all three going to duel the D'Artagnan, but then the soldiers arrived who were going to arrest them.
No, I don't remember that.
That's what I got out of that trailer. Was it's towards the end? It's like there's three of us. And he's like, there's four of us.
Oh,
You
okay.
know,
See, when he's going around what I'm assuming is Musketeer headquarters, and the people are shooting, I thought those were probably Musketeers.
training.
Yeah, and then
I think
you've got the
I
guy that
think
says,
it's
"Perhaps one day you'll be a Musketeer."
yeah, I think that's like the day because in the original or in the one we are familiar with, Kiefer Sutherland's the only one there.
Yeah,
But this looks more like
maybe the
what an
news just
institution would
arrived
look.
and everyone's
Yeah,
leaving.
yeah, like what an institution shutting down would look like. Like it'd be full of
Okay.
people moving around. And,
Well, and then if you remember correctly, they're told a lot of them will be placed into the army.
yeah,
So that maybe that's what's happening there. They're practicing, maybe the message came last week and they're now practicing to see,
maybe they're trying out to see if they'll be able
yeah,
to keep a job.
yeah.
You know,
So okay, yeah. It was just a little concern I had, but talking through that, I feel much better.
I mean, if we don't get the scene where they all show their colors, now that might have been fiction. That might have been part of the thing, but I don't think it is. I think that's part of the book, is it not? It's been so long since I
What
read
do
it.
you mean?
Where they like reveal that they've all been all the Musketeers were actually there to protect the king during the
Oh,
assassination.
I hope so. I'll definitely reread it before this
Yeah.
comes out.
Yeah,
So Easter and Christmas.
it's
What?
April 2023.
Gee, can you pick a more pertinent
time for,
time
like,
for the
yeah.
best French story ever to come out?
About the crown and the crown and the church struggling.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a good! I'm excited, dude. I'm glad we
Dude,
just did
this
that.
is
I'm
gonna be
glad we just did
great.
that. Yeah,
I hope this is incredible. I hope it's amazing.
I'm glad it's in French. I'm glad it looks like they're in France in buildings in
Yes.
France.
There's
It looks like the country should take pride in this work. Like, it's
well,
like,
so and this is one of the things that I know we don't have a lot of time left,
no,
but
it's okay. I wanted to say a closing point as well.
nationalism for something like this would be incredible to use.
It's important
because
I would say it's part of their culture.
Yes, there's a difference between the Nationalist Socialist Party and nationalism, especially in Europe. And the nationalism between Britain and France in, what is this, about 1530?
It's at 1627.
Okay, thank you. I was 100 years off. Is almost to a boiling point. And it's one of the reasons why I don't ever actually think the monarchy will end in Britain, because it's too big a part of their identity.
Well, I mean, legally speaking, they're a constitutional monarchy. It's not like Japan where it's like a ceremonial role. Like they have roles in the government that are nobility appointed.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this could be Netflix's next big thing.
Was that Netflix? I think that was an independent film company, man.
Was it?
I think so. I didn't see anything about Netflix on that. I was glad. Yeah, because like the
Oh,
intro is
wow,
like
yeah.
Pate or something. Yeah,
So
I think
who,
we're gonna have to go to like a small theater for this, man.
Huh. Let's see real quick. The 3 years, 2023. I will say I do think Vincent Cassell is a little old to play Ethos.
I think he's supposed to be old. I guess we'll just have to see. If this is
Yeah.
like one of his like pinnacle like roles of like his age is getting to him, but he's still a refined, good warrior, that would be great. But I was going to piggyback off your point was that with in relation to the nationalism and why this is very important for France, it's part of the reason why I can understand and I kind of wish that the English would get more protective of Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's an English, that's English.
Yep.
Like it's about England, for the English. And it's like, I know it's become like an international thing, but it's not. The Shires are the Shires of England. Like, it's not if you want to enjoy it, place yourself in their shoes. They shouldn't have to take their shoes off and make them in every single size for everybody in the world because it's English.
I am so excited now. This has the Duke of Buckingham's played by Jacob Lloyd.
Oh, nice.
He played the Cardinal in the Medici show on Netflix, Francisco Salivati, and was incredible. Really made the Patsy conspiracy work. Which, if you haven't watched that, you need to watch that.
Dude, this looks really good.
I've already made a reminder on my phone. I'm so excited about this. And Eva Green in this is going to be great.
You know what? I'm not even going to listen. I don't even feel bad. Oh, there's Eric Ruth of Cardinal Richelieu. He's a big character. I would like a picture of him.
Oh, that means that this is probably one of his first things.
Yeah. He's not in. Oh, he's been in 43 other French things. French.
Dang French.
I know. I'm excited though because I think it's going to be great that they're making it too. It's not like a Hollywood.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
well, so this is cool. If you scroll down, I assume you're on IMDb. If you scroll down, shot back to back with its sequel, Milady, for a total shoot of 7 months, which means this took time.
Art. It looks like art, to be honest with you. That's what caught my attention. I was looking
30 million euros.
This looks gritty. That's affordable. Black Panther just cost $200 million.
So this is the thing.
30 million euros. That looks
okay.
Great.
So they need. Did you say that's practically free?
I said that looks great, but it's practically free.
So which means this thing, if you listen to other people, needs to make about 60 million euros, which is
only 30.
59
if $30 million was the budget for both movies.
Oh yeah.
So they only need to make 30 each.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, you ought to make 100 in France alone.
I'd love an American release. That would be huge. People wouldn't see it though in subtitles here.
All you'd have to do, I'm seeing this.
Yeah, me too. I don't care what I got to do to see that. That looks awesome. All right, cool. But I got to end it there, buddy.
Yep.
Thanks everybody for watching tonight. We appreciate you guys letting us rant and get this out of our systems. We're going to try to do these more, or at least have some more digestible videos for everybody. Leave a comment in the video below to let us know what you guys want to talk about for next time. We're so new to this that we're so open to suggestions that anything that comes in we'll more than likely be able to talk about. Anything else you want to say, Caleb?
No, just we had a couple friends pop in the chat. You know, thanks men's room, Teddy O, David, Jay, and Jack. No, Jack, I'm not your son. This is great. Nice to see so many familiar faces or names. But like Dan said, you know, add any comment that you'd like to see us talk about. And hopefully, we'll do more of these so that everyone doesn't wind up being 40 minutes about Game of Thrones. I think that's one of the things I posted a super chat to I forget what it was. I think it was yesterday on the Nooner yesterday for Gary asking, how do y'all stay on topic? How do you not wind up spending 40 minutes talking about one thing that has nothing to do with what you're actually here to talk about? And he'll get that on, his square up. So I'll let you know what he says. I'm really curious.
Square Up's good.
Yeah.
Like, are they worth just tuning into, even if you didn't super chat in?
Well, yeah. So I tune into some of the ones he does because there's a bunch of questions or comments that I see posted that they don't get to that I'm like, I really want to know what he's going to say about that.
Oh yeah, I guess that's why they're there, huh?
Yeah, the main problem is that some of them are made in the moment. So, at least for me, I'd be kind of like, oh, I don't know what we were talking about when you said this.
Yeah, that's true too. You're kind of hoping that they're there too,
Yeah.
I guess, to tell you. But all right, cool. Let me know what he says. Yeah. And again, thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. We really appreciate the support. Thank you for all the comments, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Yep.